History remembers generals, history remembers nations, but sometimes history creates a man so unlikely that his existence feels like fiction. This is the story of a man who fought under 3 different armies, on 3 different continents, in the same war, a prisoner, a deserter, a survivor, a soldier forged not by loyalty, but by the simple desire to stay alive. He escaped a Soviet gulag, crossed thousands of miles on foot, served the British Empire, returned to fight under the Polish flag, and lived long enough to tell how a world war tried to kill him 3 times and failed. 1 man, 3 armies, 1 world war. September 1st, 1939, the sky over Poland turns black with German aircraft. Operation Fall Weiss begins, the world's first blitzkrieg. Cut to Stuka dive bombers, tanks, refugees, fires. Germany attacks from the west. But 17 days later, something worse happens. The Soviet Union invades from the east. Under the secret Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, Hitler and Stalin agree to divide Poland like a piece of land. Polish soldiers are trapped between 2 giants. Among them, Witold, a composite soldier built from real Polish escapees like Sławomir Rawicz, Witold Pilecki, Józef Czapski, and survivors of the Andes evacuation. His regiment collapses. He fights until ammunition runs out. Captured by Soviet troops, he is labeled an enemy of the people. Punishment, transport to the gulag system. But the gulag was not a prison. It was a machine built to erase human beings. The Soviet gulag network was not 1 camp. It was more than 450 camps spread across 11 time zones, a world within a world. Witold is shipped in cattle wagons for 2 weeks. No toilets, barely any water, 2 meals of thin soup per day. Dead prisoners removed at stops. He arrives near Irkutsk, eastern Siberia. Conditions of the gulag. Temperatures drop to -40 degrees Celsius. Prisoners cut trees for 12 to 14 hours. Daily rations, 300 grams of bread. Guards shoot escapees on sight. Prisoners sleep in frozen wooden bunks. Mortality, 20 to 30% every winter. In the gulag, you did not live. You simply postponed dying. Witold befriends 2 other Poles, men who watched their families deported, homes destroyed, and hope crushed. And in that hopelessness, the idea of escape is born. Escaping a gulag was considered impossible. The nearest city might be hundreds of kilometers away. Forests stretch endless. Wolves hunt at night, and the cold alone kills faster than bullets. But Witold listens. He studies guard patterns. He tracks shift changes. He watches how snowstorms blind searchlights. He learns which prisoners are informants. And one night a blizzard begins. A blizzard strong enough to drown footprints, strong enough to hide shapes in the dark. It is time. They slip under the fence. Snow burns their faces. Wind screams like ghosts. They head east, using nothing but the North Star. For the first 2 days, they eat snow. Then they find bark. Then they tear frozen moss from rocks. Wolves follow them from a distance. By day 5, 1 prisoner collapses. His body is too cold to save. They bury him in the snow. By day 10, the 2nd prisoner's toes turn black. He keeps moving until he can't. Witold leaves him with a broken heart, promising to return, something he knows he can't do. For most men, this is where the journey ends. For him, this is where the journey becomes impossible. After weeks of walking, Witold reaches the border of Mongolia, barely conscious. Then he hears it. Voices. Human voices. Shouting in a language he doesn't know. A Mongolian nomadic family finds him in the snow, half dead. They take him into their yurt, feed him broth, massage life back into his frozen limbs. For the first time in months, he sleeps without fear. He stays for weeks, recovering, but war still rages. He cannot stop now. He escaped one empire, only to walk directly into another. Witold walks south into northern China. China in 1941 is brutal. Japanese occupation, civil war, bandits, famine, millions displaced. He sleeps in barns, abandoned temples, empty fields. He nearly dies of dehydration crossing the edge of the Gobi Desert. Eventually, he reaches British India, exhausted, starved, but alive. When he reaches a British outpost, soldiers think he's a spy. No one escapes a gulag, at least, no one alive. When Witold arrived in Italy in early 1944, he entered a world unlike anything he had survived so far. Siberia tried to freeze him. The Gobi tried to starve him. The desert tried to break him. But Italy tried to swallow men whole. The road to Monte Cassino. The Polish Second Corps was exhausted long before they reached Italy. Their journey had taken them from Soviet camps across Central Asia, through the deserts of Iraq and Iran, into British training bases in Palestine and Egypt. They marched with memories of families left behind. Many hoped liberating Italy would be the first step to liberating Poland. Arriving at the front, when Witold first saw Monte Cassino, he didn't believe humans could fight there. A monastery 1,400 years old, perched on a mountain peak, now reduced to shattered stones, burning trees, and broken bodies. German paratroopers, the Fallschirmjäger, the elite, were dug into bunkers carved directly into the mountainside. They had machine gun nests, anti-tank guns, mortars, snipers who could hit from insane distances, mines spread across every path. Witold and the Polish soldiers were told the truth. This mountain will kill you, but it must be taken. The assault begins on May 11th, 1944. At 11 p.m., the ground shook under 1,600 Allied artillery guns. The night sky turned red. The air became smoke. The monastery glowed like a burning crown on the mountain. Witold moved with his unit up the slopes. Every meter cost blood. The mud was so thick men lost boots. The paths were so narrow that trucks slid off cliffs. Rain fell, then snow, then rain again. Bodies, both Allied and German, froze in unnatural positions. This was not a battlefield. This was a vertical graveyard. The Polish final push, the Polish Second Corps launched their final attack on May 17th. Witold climbed rubble that shifted like sand. Bullets ricocheted off stone. Germans fired down from impossible angles. A mortar exploded near him, throwing him into broken bricks, his helmet dented, ringing in his ears, vision blurry. He saw a friend he had marched with for years, lifeless eyes, open hand, still gripping a rifle. But the Polish flag was raised over the ruins on May 18th. Witold stood among the rubble, exhausted, shaking, alive. For the second time in his life, he walked away from a place designed to kill him. When the guns fell silent in 1945, Witold had marched across the world, from Europe to Asia, from Asia to Africa, from Africa back to Europe. Few soldiers traveled farther. Even fewer survived as much. Poland was not liberated. Instead, the Soviet Union took control. The home he had fought for no longer existed as he remembered it. Polish soldiers like him faced a haunting choice: return home and risk imprisonment by the new communist regime, or live in exile, far from family, far from childhood, far from everything he once knew. Witold chose exile. Life after war, he worked simple jobs. He lived quietly. He rarely spoke of the gulag, or the escape, or the desert marches, or Monte Cassino. Most people never learned he served in 3 armies. To his neighbors, he was just another immigrant who liked to keep to himself. But inside him was a story carved by frost, sand, blood, and fire. The question they always asked: why didn't you give up? He would think for a moment. His eyes would sharpen, remembering empty snowfields, collapsing friends, burning rubble. And he would say, "Because dying is simple, living is the hard part, and I wanted to prove I could survive everything they threw at me." Legacy: some soldiers are remembered with statues, some with medals, some with books. Men like Witold, the ones who crossed continents, changed armies and kept walking, are remembered in silence. His story remained hidden behind the Iron Curtain, lost in classified papers, forgotten by governments, whispered only among old veterans who knew what it meant to keep going. He served under 3 flags, survived 3 worlds, outlived 3 armies, and he left behind a lesson that echoes long after him. When the world pushes you to the ground, stand up once more, take one more step, and history will not forget you.